One of the biggest challenges is getting the teachers to embrace this new way of teaching and learning. Teachers have to take a step back when they are using an inquiry approach and really become a facilitator. The students have to lead, their own investigations to some degree. And because there's so many standards and so much content to teach in social studies, stepping back from it can be a bit daunting for teachers. Another challenge is getting the teachers comfortable with maybe a little bit more movement in class, a little bit more chatter. It's good chatter, but really just releasing the control of what happens moment to moment in the classroom can be a bit of a challenge. The pictures that come along with some of the resources that we use really anchor the teachers and the students and kind of get them excited about an inquiry. Some of the harder parts, though, are getting the students to think freely and write what their thoughts are. Writing overall has been a challenge in social studies, and it's one that we continue to try to overcome. Beyond writing, also, just like I said before, the teachers just letting go and kind of following the investigation wherever it lands.
I think no matter what you do, time's always a factor. I think also giving space to teachers to try some things and know that the first go-around, it might not be perfect. One thing that we've been doing is trying to create an atmosphere or a culture of inquiry, and to say that there's not just one way to do inquiry. Inquiry can look different depending on the topic, depending on the grade level, and to just kind of reassure folks that there's a variety of ways to do inquiry, and it's okay. So you might be doing an inquiry that maybe is a little shallow. We call that like swimming in the, in the shallow end, or you might be doing something very open-ended and jumping in that deep end. And it's okay for the learners and the teachers to be moving back and forth along that continuum.
Teachers are way more familiar with using sources, so primary and secondary sources, and how to evaluate them. I think they struggle more with the questioning piece and how to allow students to ask their own questions and use that to drive inquiry. I think they also struggle with the taking informed action, because again, they see it as a timepiece. And by the time they get to the end of the inquiry, they feel like, we don't have any time to apply this in the real world. So it's about showing the importance of all those pieces together.
I feel like a lot of the inquiry-based support that teachers are more comfortable with is documents, political cartoons. The part that I feel like sometimes needs some extra support is how to facilitate a conversation through the documents, how to facilitate a conversation through the evidence that they're providing, and helping or supporting students with how to articulate their point of view. I think we need to make sure teachers learn how to facilitate better. They take the time to inquire the students to provide evidence, to research, to be motivated to have their own ideas, to be motivated to be part of the social scene, to be part of the political scene by knowing what's going on around them, not just in the past, but how it affects them in the future. Trying to help teachers unlearn old practices and embrace new ideas. What we like to have teachers do is to learn how to be facilitators, learn how to motivate students to question, and that is a challenge.
One of the biggest challenges that we faced when we began to make the shift towards inquiry in Houston County is the lack of resources that were available. We had to start really looking and forming our own text sets that teachers could use, because time is always a factor for teachers. And so we wanted to take that burden off of them and to make sure that when they started inquiry in their classrooms, that they had all of the resources that they needed to make a smooth transition. So we began to build text sets for them that would include primary and secondary sources. And then when we started our trainings, we would put them through the task as if they were students. So they really understood how engaging the task would be. And then when they went back to their classrooms, they would feel much more comfortable doing that.